G2 and are your spring split champions.
3 rookies prove themselves worthy of the top 4 in the EU LCS. A double kill from Perks! This guy is a madman! He can do it! Oh, Memento! You beautiful man!
Guess the Quadra! Gotta be a pacer for Kobe!
It's time to find out who will rise. This is the EU LCS.
Welcome to Ready Check ahead of Week 2 in the EU LCS Summer Split. We're going to be discussing the new patch, taking a look at some key players, and much more. But first, I'm Daniel Drakos here with 2 of the newest faces on the EU LCS broadcast. Christy Ender Frierson and Dan, Foxdrop, Wyatt. Reddit's losing their stuff right now. Twitch chat's spamming. Hey guys, they're ready
the girls
for you,
in the audience have fainted. I know, I'm used to it.
I'm just glad to have another new guy on the desk or in the zone.
You're no longer the new guy. You're no longer the...
I'm a veteran, turns out.
1 week is apparently all it takes. Of course, last week the teams, they kicked off pretty well for some of them not as much. Guys at the top, G2 Esports, Misfits Gaming, and Vitality. But the one on everyone's mind today is Fnatic. 1-1 week, not good enough for them. They decided it's time to make some changes. Reckless is out. Reckless!
Yeah, let that sink in for a second, because this all-star AD carry is now being subbed out because the meta in the bot lane is crazy stuff. We got top laners, bruisers, mages being played down there, and it's Whippo's turn to make a name for himself.
It makes sense though, you say it. Top laners, bruisers in the bot lane. Why don't you stick a top laner / bruiser player in the bot lane? That's what they've done, taking Reckless out.
Look, all right. Well, we're going to hear from Youngbuck later today ahead of Fnatic versus H2K, maybe get a little bit of that context, understand what's going through their head. But I imagine it might be something right along those lines like, hey, look, bot lane, it's a place for Vladimir, it's a place for Ryze. We'll get everything else just out of that
No
area.
more Tristana. She's very sad now.
Of course, though, Fnatic's still 1-1. Let's talk about a few of the top teams that have managed to come through. For you, Ender, who really stood out the most?
Oh, for me, it is Team Vitality, because those guys, they're playing crazy stuff in the bottom lane with Attila and Jack Troll just popping off, using that early game to their strength.
Yeah, I mean, what bad things can you say about Vitality? They've, like you said, they've been popping off. They're really good last split at the beginning. They're really good at the beginning of this split, and see if they can whip it out again today.
Another team, though, that has stepped up, that had a rough split prior, Misfits and Foxdrop. I know you're excited about these guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, redemption stories are a bit cliche in esports, but I mean, this is the one for Misfits. They had such a good world showing last year, and then the spring split was a little bit flat, you know? It's like you have a fizzy drink and you've left the cap off, and then it just goes all crap. This split, however, they're looking to really turn it around, and the first week, they put a really good foundation down, 2-0.
The cap is back on.
The cap is back on, lads.
Cap's on, baby. For Fnatic.
All right, man. All in on caps, I guess. All right, well, H2K Splice, Unicorns of Love. Rough first week. We have to be honest. These guys did not look great, and I kind of want to see how these guys are going to perform when it comes to picking up some of those wins.
Yeah, it was tough. A couple of them had some pretty difficult teams they had to face off against, but it's also just not a meta for everyone. There are drastic changes you have to do, specifically in the bottom lane. The jungle role has been shaken up quite a bit, so these teams are going to take some time to adapt.
Adaptation is the key word here, and that in itself is a strength. Your team's ability to see what's changed and then actually do what's necessary to adapt to that change. And we haven't really seen that at the lower teams. And the question is, are these lower teams just a little bit bad? Or is it a weakness in their skill to adapt, which is something that will come in time?
Well, we're going to find out now. Before the season started, veterans set the stakes for H2K, saying they would make Worlds. Let's hear what other teams think of their chances.
Minimum we go is World.
Veteran and H2K's chances of making it to Worlds are very, very low.
Veteran is an optimistic guy, but I think I don't know, maybe he got a 1 out of 8 chance.
The chances of HK making it to Worlds are 0.000.
The strength to override these players, to make them boost confidence.
I think Veteran is a clown for saying his team is going to make Worlds.
0, 0, 0.
Right, like non-existent.
No chance to get to Worlds.
He must get ready to not make Worlds.
0% chances.
0%.
What the f***? 0, 0.
Veterans' chances of making Worlds, like, honestly, 100% if you count booking a ticket and flying there.
Strong words. See how H2K performs later. More importantly, though, Foxdrop. We're going to put you on the spot, buddy. Last week, it was Ender's turn to take a chance in the hot seat as the newest member. It's your turn. Now, I see you're prepared. I see you're ready. We good to go, Foxdrop?
Yeah, I'm good to go. The seat was just a seat, then I sat on it and it became a hot seat, so bring it on.
All right. First question. We'll start with a hard one. What is your full name?
My full name is Dan Wyatt.
Where are you from?
I'm from a sunny town called Southend, near London, England.
Have you ever had a normal job?
No. No. Nothing normal about me, I'm afraid.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Fox shot or quick drop?
I feel like we're going to Fox shot up later, so it has to be Fox shot.
All right. Favorite EU LCS host?
Oh, bloody hell. I mean, there's only one of them who can stab me right now, so probably Drakos.
Sweden or Denmark?
Oh, God. Sweden.
All right.
Who gets more viewers, Foxdrop or Shad?
They only watch for Shad, so it has to be Shad.
Is SKT going to make Worlds?
Pass.
What's the best YouTube comment you've ever received on a video?
Oh, bloody hell. Probably something to do with actually liking what I put out, because it was so rare that I did a double take.
We said real comments. Who is saltier? Germany fans after the loss to Mexico, or Fnatic fans watching Reckless pick Janna?
That's tough. I would probably say... That's a tough one, actually. I'm going to say Germany fans, because they won it all last time. So did Fnatic, I guess. You know what? I don't have a good answer for this one. I'm saying Germany fans. I think there's slightly more Germany fans than Fnatic fans.
All right. A little bit of a cop-out, but I'm sure the Fnatic fans will let you know how salty they are if you thought you were wrong.
You should have asked me about the French. I could slag them off all day. I don't really have anything on the German.
Well, that's all we've got. Foxdrop, you've passed the hot seat. You can ditch the glasses. You can stand up. And as a new member of the EU LCS broadcast team, we have something to share with you.
Bring it on, baby.
We had to get something that represented your flair, your personality, your absolute disregard for appropriate comedic timing. And here it is.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Well, after Quickshot got his chance on the stats, it's now Medic's turn to perform. So what do you got for me, Medic?
Thank you very much, Drakos. And after the first week of the European LCS, we've seen some huge changes between the spring and the summer split. AD carries are now optional. The champion pool has been shaken up and games are way faster. From how the games played out last week, we saw two aspects of play rise up in importance: the early game and Baron. Now, last week, it seemed that the game was all but decided in the first 15 minutes, with only two teams losing the game when they were ahead at the 15-minute mark. If we take a look at the numbers from Spring Split, we can see that there's a huge increase in win rate when teams have a lead at 15. In Spring, even if you managed to pull ahead in the early game, it was very much a coin flip as to whether you would win the game. When teams had a lead in Spring, they were ahead on average by 1,700 gold at 15 minutes. Last week, this jumped up dramatically to 4,200 gold. The early game looks increasingly one-sided, leaving the chances to come back from deficits slim to none. So what does that mean for the EU LCS? Well, for teams like G2 and Misfits, who often pulled ahead early in the spring split, the current state of affairs is very much in their favor. With an average game time of 40+ minutes in spring, both teams had a difficult time making their early game leads relevant in the late game. On the other hand, this meta is not a good fit for the likes of Splice and H2K. In spring, these teams were comfortable conceding the early game and surviving to the late game in order to get their wins. With games ending before 30 minutes in summer, it seems like these teams are going to have to shake up their strategies. Now let's take a look at the main reason games are going so fast, the Baron buff. If we take a look at the spring to summer comparison, we can see that not only are Barons being taken so much sooner, but teams are utilizing Barons to their full potential. The Baron power play has increased by 49% from spring to summer, with teams securing more towers and more inhibitors while the buff is active. Over half the games ended with Baron buff still active, showing just how important securing this objective is. In spring, Europe had 18 Baron steals, more than any other region globally. Without naming any names, Gilius, we all know certain junglers had more issues with Smite than others. However, with Baron being so vital to closing out games, mistiming Smites could be detrimental. Back to you, Drakos.
Thank you, Medic. Shame to hear you coming down with a little bit of a cough there, but no worries. Hopefully you'll cure up there at the stat seat today. And now 8-11, guys. Probably the biggest shakeup we've seen in competitive League of Legends since Season 5 Worlds with that Juggernaut patch. 8.12 is now upon us. It looks like a little bit of a smaller patch, but it does seem like there are some pretty key changes there.
Exactly. I think the first one to jump out you is that nerfed column in the center of the screen. All those support, shielding, and healing items going to be taken down just a little bit. And then these 3 champions, Janna, Karma, Lulu, their shield duration was lowered. So maybe not going to be seeing, you know, those 4 supports buffing up Caps on Fnatic's team. They definitely not going to be as good stacking those up.
Yeah, Janna, Karma, Lulu feeling a bit nerfed. My personal height feels a bit nerfed standing next to this geezer over here. Who made him so lanky? Whatever. I want to talk more about the buffs. Lee Sin and Kindred specifically. You know, I'm a jungle. I love playing the jungle champions and the more aggressive jungles. Yeah, but this is my time now, mate. Lee Sin, I love him. And he did get buffed this patch, and hopefully we can see a little bit more of him. Kindred did the same thing as well. I don't really want to see these like passive, the junglers who pick things like Taric. We don't want to see that. Well, I don't want to see that. I like the Lee Sin.
Let's
see more of him.
The Master Yi too. Let's get the people in there who want to kill stuff. Let's shut it down. I'm excited to see it too. There is one other change I think we have to touch on that's like kind of hot on people's minds. 80 carries are always at the center of people's attention right now, given how few of them are taking up home in the bot lane, and there were some changes to the crit itemization. Ender, how big is this really?
Not that big. It was a hotfix buff, so keep in mind, not going to be any crazy changes done by the live gameplay team, but there were a few nice numbers changes for them. A couple of bits AD on Stormrazor, Infinity Edge build path cheapened just a tad, but not nearly enough, I don't think, to bring crit marksman back into the meta.
Yeah, we're probably still just going to be saying the same old that we saw in the last patch.
Same old Heimerdinger Fiddlesticks. The classic,
Ginsu's,
right?
if you want to play a marksman.
Right, fair. It feels weird to call it same old. We're just 1 week into
same old, new old.
Yeah, same old insanity we're used to. You're not going to be able to predict it. It may not be the same. Now, tonight is the first test for the teams on patch 8.12. I'd like to welcome Quickshot to the stage to bring us his players to watch.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is jumping into week 2 of the summer split, and I was tasked with the challenge of only picking 3 players that I wanted to watch. It is, in fact, a very difficult task with the climate of the current metagame and with all the stories we're hearing about AD carries. So I figured I'd pick an AD carry player that was picking 80 carries. Hans Summer is my #1 player to watch. A 34 KDA, 16, 0, and 18 were his stats last week. And he truly, truly welcomed the EU LCS to the League of Hans Summer's Draven. I cannot wait to see what he will play this week. And as long as this confident Hans Summer continues performing, Misfits may go undefeated for a little while longer. Next up, we have to look at another person who played an AD carry champion. However, this time, it was more of the funnel strategy. It is, of course, Fnatic's mid laner Caps. Now, I'm very excited to see what Caps will do this week because of the news about Reckless not performing, about Reckless not playing with the Fnatic squad. Looking at some of his stats, 46% damage share, 88.9% kill participation, and he went 7-7-1. Truthfully, if that boy didn't do it, Fnatic weren't going to. He did against Schalke 04. Fnatic managed to turn that game around despite being down 6, 7, 8,000 gold, and that's why I'm going to turn my attention to Nukeduck. He's my 3rd and final player to watch. He played Twisted Fate and Kale last week. Exciting picks in the state of the current metagame. I like the options. I like the strategies that Schalke employed. And truthfully, I think Schalke 04 should have been 2-0 instead of 1-1. So let's see what the team can do if they can rally around Nukeduck and see whether or not Fisher will finally, for the first time in his career, be right about calling it the year of Nukeduck. So you guys at home, send me who you think your players to watch this week will be. Use that hashtag ReadyCheck. We're going to take another look at Nukeduck later tonight because he's going up against Perks in our match of the week. Bloodwell passive to bring him back to life. Perks goes forward before he's scattered by the weak, but there's simply not enough damage. It was Meek, a quadra kill for Perks to close out the game.
For G2 versus Schalke, the story's simple. Redemption for a disappointing spring split. For G2, it's a disappointment because they didn't live up to the legacy. They didn't win the final, and they got crushed.
Last split, we didn't really match well, and we had to improve a lot. And in the finals, even though Fnatic destroyed us, it felt like we are way more together.
For Schalke, spring split was a complete failure. The team failed to live up to any of the hype.
And this knocks Schalke out of playoff.
Being 8th place when you're basically one of the top teams in terms of individual talent, it's something that you don't want to be. Schalke in itself, like the organization, the staff, the players, you know, are not an 8th place team.
Nukeduck gets a gold card out because the shield timed out. Amazing! Puts the tactical sweep to the face of Caps.
Last split was bad for us, like not only because of the result, but more because we didn't manage to function as a team, I think.
Schalke tried to play so clean and so safe that they were a sterile team. Amazing is the polar opposite. He's emotional, he's feisty, he's fiery, and that is a double-edged sword. It can elevate Schalke, or it can explode. And it'll be on Amazing shoulders to see how far Schalke can go.
So they picked up Amazing, and I thought he's like kind of grandpa, like he doesn't have mechanics, but he actually proved that he has some mechanics.
Puts the baby cage down on Caps, and Caps is obliterated.
All the lanes work together with Amazing in order to neutralize Jankos.
The jungle matchup will like not even be close. It's gonna be totally one-sided.
I think it's one of the easiest matchups I can have right now compared to all the teams. Amazing is just not out there just yet.
Get one, not gonna get two with Perks taking it away, but he will find the double in the end.
I mean, last time we played against Schalke, especially the first game of Spring Split was crazy. Nuke Duck got really stoned by Perks.
Oh my goodness! Nuke Duck gets nuked by Perks!
Perks versus Nuke Duck is going to be an explosive mid-lane matchup. Two of the best individual players in the league, and I have no idea who's going to come out on top.
Oh, Nuke Duck dodged this! Jumps back onto Perks, the Hexa Gunblade, and Perks is down! That's how you win the mid lane! The year of Nuke Duck!
I'm excited to play against Perks always. It makes for like exciting gameplay, but it's also the factor that he is, you know, the top dog mid laner.
Will Perks be able to elevate everybody around him to play to the level that we have already seen Perks play? It's the only way for G2 to be a title contender.
G2, destroy Rocket!
Even if everything doesn't go to plan, we can still, you know, pull out the win. Whereas some other teams, they need everything to go their way, otherwise they collapse a bit.
I think we have to show to our fans that we can be the best team in Europe.
It's week 2 of the summer split, and this matchup is the start of that redemption story. For G2 and Schalke, there's no time to waste. Start winning now, you don't go to Worlds.
I love it. The only thing I see, there's a lot of stuff that was said there. There's a lot of like legacy and history and stuff, but all I care about right now, Nuke Duck versus Perks. I don't know if we're gonna get LeBlanc Zoe again, but I just want some real one-on-one mid-lane action between these two guys.
Yeah, that means not playing Kai'Sa and Braum. I don't want to see any of that, because then we don't have a mid-lane matchup. But I think Nuke Duck would really like to have a chance to go up against Perks.
So you don't see Kai'Sa Braum. What about Tarek Master Yi?
Okay.
No.
I don't think you understand. I mean,
No.
I would like to see a mage with mechanical, like high mechanical skill cap, Foxdrop.
I'm just saying. I'm just going by the complete.
This is the guy that was telling us he wanted to see Lee Sin and Kindred, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
what happened during the video, man?
They're not mid laners, dude. Come on, they're junglers. I don't want to see Nuke Duck or Perks play those. Honestly, this guy's so silly. Why'd you even get him? Ridiculous.
Well, we're going to see if Schalke can take down the rising G2 Esports in our third game of the day. Of course, you can see the schedule out in front of us. There's a lot of games to talk about. I think we have to kind of jump right into game 4. However, Fnatic versus H2K to me is the one that stands out the most. No Reckless on Fnatic for the first time in who knows how long. This man is literally the staple of this team. What are you guys' thoughts?
It makes it really hard to say Fnatic are just going to win that game, even though coming into this week, that would sort of be your inclination because we don't know how this roster is going to play. Clearly, the staff has faith that this strategy is going to work out, but I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it.
I'm absolutely looking forward to this game. Because there's going to be a really good color caster on that one, so...
You're casting the game, aren't you?
I will be casting that game.
That was a little...
This guy, man.
It's going to be great. Absolutely fantastic. I'm keeping my eyes... And actually, the 5th game as well looks really appealing to me, too.
Why don't you tell me a little bit? Give me a little bit of a preview.
Who's going to be casting it?
Yeah. Oh, I'm on that one as well, actually. Yeah, sorry. How
weird
could that slip my mind? Yeah, honestly. What pure quality games there, and the League of Legends being played should be good, too.
Misfits versus Splyce, though. Is this Splyce's chance to bounce back? Because this is one that's interesting to me because last season I would have said this could go either way. Misfits are struggling, but they are a good team, and they're good at taking down top teams especially well. But now it's a completely different story because Misfits are popping off.
They look so good.
And Splyce are definitely not. Splyce are whatever the opposite of popping off is where Splyce are currently.
Yeah, they've had a tough schedule so far, so give them a little bit of slack, but it doesn't get any easier playing against Misfits today because that's probably the best team in the EU right now.
What I would say for Splyce is they do have an English player in Kasing, but Misfits have 2. If you want to count Alfari, he's kind of Welsh. Maybe we shouldn't count him. Either way, that's going to be a tough matchup for these guys. Like you mentioned, though, Splice, they were a really good team in spring, and Misfits not so much. So I feel like we haven't really seen the Splice that we really want to see or have been used to seeing. So if they can whip it out, I mean, on their good days, don't give me that look, mate. Then if Splice want to whip it out, they could totally do that against Misfits. And hey, it could happen. I'm not expecting it to happen, but it could happen.
All right, whip it out. Well, last week, Ender was the superior analyst, but tonight, Foxdrop, you, me, Twitter, we're going to take him down. We have to take him down. Let's talk some about predictions.
That's cute. That's cute, Drakos. There's no way I'm going down.
You predicted H2K versus Fnatic?
I cannot, in good faith, say Fnatic are going to win this game after seeing that Reckless is not in the roster.
Now, is this... You gonna back me up here? Is this crazy?
I mean, I'm just looking at the fact that the fan vote and me are actually identical. I may as well just be a Twitter analyst at this point. Guys, you got my back. I appreciate that one. So whatever you guys have, I'm with you guys. I'm the man of the people. What can I say?
Okay, but you gotta give me like a TLDR, Ender. I know you're gonna get a chance later during the match to talk a little bit more, but like, what are you gonna?
Here's the thing. Fnatic's early game has not looked good. H2K's early game has not looked good, but I have more faith in them with Selfie and Sheriff to step up and win the game.
There's some logic to what he's saying, but maybe the altitude that he's living in right now is so bloody tall has affected his logical thinking.
Limited oxygen. It's okay.
So
we're going to give
really
you a pass on this one, Ender. Maybe you can reevaluate that prediction as we move
All right,
forward.
so last week, everyone was calling me crazy for predicting Roccat to win that game on the second day. I was the only one right, along with Law. So, you know, if I'm the only one to predict H2K, I'm saying it could be a repeat.
Well, rise up against him. He's at Endercast on Twitter. Yes?
Yes, that's true.
Tell him he's a fool there. Or maybe not. Maybe you're a big H2K fan, and maybe you think they're going to make it to Worlds, and you think they're going to pull it off. But let's focus in on the first game of the day. It is Unicorns of Love versus Giants. Pivotal matchup here between Joko and Cold in the jungle.
Cold, I think, is playing really good right now. He's a bit underrated because his playstyle is mid-some streak, but yeah, I don't know, he's being pretty good, like, let's be honest.
White Knight is here as well, and there is the Tom catch. Amazing going down, double kill for Cole.
I think Unicorn find out that if they don't play around Exile, then he's gonna go 0-10. If you play around him, maybe he will go 10-0.
Exile, he flashes a smidgen too late, and the Comet's gonna take him down. Now, Voice of Light is able to knock back Exile, and Cold. Anybody's guessing this one. For the rest of the team, and they're bouncing him all over the place. Can make it a 3. Sencooks, Maxlor. I've seen this movie before, Deficio, and it does not end happily for Exile.
There should be no problem.
Hey everybody, I'm backstage here with Cold ahead of his matchup against Giants. We just heard a video clip from Joko talking about how he believes your synergy with Exile is very good, and a lot of praise from Joko. But he still says Giants, they're not going to have any issues with UOL today. So I want to ask you, what's your opinion on the relationship between Betsy and Joko and how they perform on the Rift?
I think definitely they're the core of their team. We have seen that several times when in the early game Joko is a core. He is a core player of getting them ahead, and I think if you can't really do this, especially over the mid lane, then they struggle a lot, and I think me and Exile are just better than them, so I'm not really concerned about playing against them.
When I look at the two duos and how you guys match up, in my opinion, Betsy's sort of the strong performer. You know, he seems to carry Joko a little bit, and when I look at yourself in Exile, I feel like you're the more reliable sort of carry that sets Exile up. So do you think there's that mismatch in skill, and you know, will Exile maybe have some troubles with Betsy?
I don't necessarily think that's completely accurate. I think you look good together. I don't think either of them is going to shine if the other one doesn't do his job. So I think it's going to be exciting, and it's mostly going to come down to pick and ban right now, because pick and ban is just one hell of a mess, and I don't even know where to start. So we will see what happens in the game.
It's an exciting mess. It's something that I've said a lot about Unicorns over the years. Unicorns are a team that just somehow seems to channel this chaos and exciting nature. So let's talk about what that's going to mean, because spring you guys started really slowly, ended really strong. Last week, performance. Yeah. So where are we going in summer? How much of this chaos will it help or hurt you?
I mean, right now I feel like with the meta, anyone can beat anyone. It's just what kind of view you have on the game. And there's no doubt right now we as a team don't have the time to spend a lot of more weeks to get better or to get to the level where we need to be. We need to perform right now, we need to get results, and that is what matters for us right now. So we try our best, and I think this week we have been improving a lot, and we have a high level of play. So I'm excited to show.
All right, now, of course, this interview is going to air just before your game, so Giants won't be able to hear your answer. What specifically will be the reason that you beat Giants today?
Me.
Thank you very much. There you go. Cold is the reason they're going to win. Back to you, Drakos, and ready check.
all on Cold. We're talking about mid-jungle synergy. Joko's talking about mid-jungle synergy. Cold is talking about Cold versus everybody. Is it possible? Can a jungler just pop off and carry? Don't say funnel strat. I don't want to hear just let's pretend.
Okay, I was not going to say funnel strat because I never want to talk about the funnel strat again. I'd be happy if I never saw it again. But I think that Cold, if you just talk to anyone else in the league, everyone's hyping up this player on the UOL roster. And I personally have a lot of faith in him to step up and do well in this match. But I do think it is a two-pronged effort. He needs Exile as well to step up.
I want to kind of answer your question, can a jungler step up and really carry a game like that? I want to say no because I don't want to give any expectations for my solo queue teammates when we lose and they keep tight and better jungler wins. I kind of want to get rid of that one. But I mean, what we saw from Cold, and it was a really good point that Joker made as well, when Cold plays around that mid lane, Exile can go 10-0. If he doesn't, he can go 0-10. A bit harsh, by the way, to have a montage of Exile just dying over and over. That was a nice touch. But either way, we will see whether he can just pull it out this game and whether he can draw that Exile into his strength. Because if he does, they can win. If he doesn't, they'll probably lose.
And the question is, for me, Cold being the kind of the center of so much of this piece, maybe the key to Unicorns Love turning around a struggling start. Is this where we start to see more of an emphasis put on him carrying, or is he still going to try to play through Exile? Can we see maybe the Lee Sin, the Kindred, Foxdrop? You brought it up. Some of these junglers, they've got strength. We know Graves could be strong too. Is this his time to take the carry mantle himself?
I would like to see it, honestly. I think it plays into how UOL like to play, and we haven't really seen too much out of their bot lane specifically from UOL, so maybe you do want to draw more strength into your jungler, into your mid laner, and the early game playmakers like the Lee Sins. You saw what you could do on Trundle, and Trundle is not really typically the kind of champion that does that. So if he can do that kind of thing on a champion that's not so good on it, what can you do on a champion that's actually really bloody good at it?
Yeah, I mean, you could also get the Talia in there, too, if you need a little bit of magic damage, because Exile was playing the Yasuo last week. There's a little bit of thematic synergy there, too. We were playing that combo earlier today.
Look, man, lore bot lanes are where it's at. It's the future now that you can play anything you want. But you can see here what happened when Cold was always around Exile, how well it worked out. And this is, as you said, the Trundle. This is not the biggest playmaking pick. The most playmaking thing he has is a pillar. Not exactly as exciting as a Lee Sin, not something that's always going to set up, but he still used it so well. I want to see today if he can take that to the next level, if he can help level up Exile as well. And it does feel a little bit like they're set up to do so. Unicorns of Love looking pretty good. Is there anywhere else we want to look on the Unicorns of Love lineup before we start to talk about the team on the opposite side? Is there anyone else you've got your eye on that you think may be able to carry through?
I think Samix as well. We haven't seen too much crazy stuff out of him in the bottom lane. There's so much room to experiment, I think, specifically down there on that bottom side of the map, that anything goes, and he could pick whatever he wants.
Yeah, I'm looking to see whether Samix can pick up his first kill of the summer split. He's
oh, man.
Sitting...
Don't kick a man while he's down.
Not so pretty at 0 kills in total. So maybe he can do something different this game. But I did mention before, honestly, when you asked me if there's anyone else I want to look at, not really. I feel like that's one of the weaknesses of UOL right now is they don't look great. There's not been a lot to show for the whole team, so...
There's also just been 2 games, so...
Yeah, it is small sample size.
But eyes on mid and jungle. Now it's a similar story on the opposite side for Giants. We heard Joko talk earlier. Now I want to talk about him and Betsy as a duo. Cold mentioned it. He said he thinks they can outperform him. He knows that they're the core of the team in the same vein as UOL. So let's talk about it. Joko, Betsy together. What are your thoughts on these guys?
I think Joko's the player that I need personally to step up. Last week, not quite as many plays he made in the early game. Like last split. Last split, he was super aggressive, super offensive. And if he can bring that out here, I think that's where Giants can try to make something happen in the early game.
And of course, Betsy then being the key, being the member who stepped up if Joko wasn't able to get him a lead, making brave plays like this, hitting him with the old swoop, not going for the team fight, going straight for the end. And it's a good look for Betsy to carry it through. I want to see if he can get that backup. Foxdrop, how are you feeling about Betsy? I know it was just an Azir backdooring, but his play outside of that, what did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he had pretty good performance outside of that as well. That is the key focus of that game, was the play that brought him the victory. I mean, how can you doubt someone with a pose like that? Look at that. That's just pretty right there. And he had a pretty performance too. And the thing is, what impresses me the most about what Betsy's done thus far is that Joko has not had the best performance, like you mentioned, Ender. And for a mid laner to be able to do things when your jungler isn't really doing too well, to me, that shows a huge sign of solid individual strength.
Yeah, I remember that sweet solo kill he had on that Azir game as well, where there were 5 people coming to the mid lane to help him out. He said, no, no, no. Hold it. I'm going to make this play myself, and it was great to watch.
All right, gentlemen, you can see the timer counting down. 40 seconds left for us. Oof. Now, I predicted Unicorns of Love, and you guys seem to be readily against me. So I just want quick hits from each of you. What is the difference maker? Why are Giants going to win this game?
Giants, I think Joko can have higher highs potentially than Cold. He can also have much lower lows, so it's really up to him making the correct plays and working with Betsy, who I think is the star on this roster.
I just think we've seen more out of Giants from a good standpoint than we have URL. URL's honestly just looked very lost and little for me to back them up.
All right, we're going to see if they can find their way. For now, though, it's time to head over to the casters and kick off the day. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Drakos. Good evening, all you esports fans. I am Devin Pyrotechnics Young here with the worst sumo wrestler of the EU LCS broadcast team. It's Andrew Vedius Day.
Hey, man, it was a best of one. If I'd gone a best 3 like the rest, it would have gotten the reverse.